friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina, and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you through my DIYs. As you see by today's title, I have another June-O-Ween video for you, and this one really took some patience. However, the outcome of each DIY was amazing. Now, before we get started, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I am so happy that you are here, and I do appreciate each and every one of you. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. It really does help out my channel. And if you know someone spooky who enjoys spooky DIYs, don't forget to share this video with at least one friend. With all of that being said, let's just jump right into it and let's art today. I have received this silicone mold with 3 skulls in it years ago from my spouse, and in their defense, they thought it was bigger. However, I just thought it was the cutest little thing, and every DIY in today's video will have these little skulls all over them. Now, I do apologize for my hands because I was painting other things at the same time. Now, to begin with, I am filling up the mold with some hot glue. Now, this is not the typical Gorilla glue sticks that I use. This is the crystal clear glue sticks that I purchased from Walmart. I believe I got 100 for about $6 to $8, and I am using those because I just wanted a cheaper glue stick to fill these up. Now, after I fill them up, it takes a couple of minutes for them to solidify and dry completely, and that way they just pop on out just like this. Now, once again, I only have one of these molds, and I had to do this 3 billion other times because I like to torture myself. But nonetheless, I got to work and I continue filling up my molds and waited for them to dry and then pop them out. After a couple of hours, here is just a handful of skulls that got completely done. I did make more off camera, but these are all of the little skulls, and they are just adorable. I really had fun doing this. This would be even cute if you had like little cement or resin to fill up this mold, but I am going to use it to cover this 3 tea light candle holder. Now, if you've been following my channel, this may look familiar. I purchased this at the thrift store for $1.99, I believe, even cheaper than that. And I painted it throughout the summer DIYs last year, and I'm going to repurpose it this year to fit more of my home decor. So the first thing I wanted to do was give it a light sanding, and then I went in with my black acrylic paint, and I'm very lightly painting over it. This is just a base coat just to give a good coverage so that when I place my skulls on top, you won't be able to see all of the watermelon paint behind it. Once again, I only gave it 1 coat of paint, and I set that off to dry completely. Once it was dried, here is how it looks. Like I mentioned, I just gave it 1 coat. I didn't want to give full coverage. And now I'm just placing those little skulls all over my candle holder. Now, I wasn't quite sure how I wanted my skulls to lay on the candle holder. I didn't know if I wanted them in a row or have them all like really pushed up together in a disarray look. So I first started adding them that way, and then I started flipping them around to see if I liked them in a different direction. So that is what I'm doing here, just to figure out what kind of look I was going for. Let me know down in the comment section on which direction you would have taken your skulls into. Now, I decided to leave them in a row like this, and there are 15 skulls in each row, so that means there is 30 little skulls on this side of my candle holder. Now it's time to attach my skulls onto the candle holder, and I'm using my Gorilla Gorilla Glue stick. I did remove the clear one and added the Gorilla Glue stick because I thought it would have a better hold than the clear one. However, if you want a more permanent hold, I suggest maybe using some super glue or some E6000. However, this worked just fine, and I glued each one of those skulls individually onto my candle holder. Now, this DIY does take some time, and it does get tedious halfway through it. However, I really loved how the outcome turned out. Now, once again, I was gifted this silicone mold, so if you're looking for something similar, there's plenty on Etsy, or even just Google it on Amazon. I'm pretty sure you can find the same if not similar molds on there. Here is how my candlestick holder looks with just the first side done. I absolutely love it like this already. There is little hair, so I'm just picking those off, but then I have to finish the rest of the candle holder. I do finish each 4 sides, and then I was debating whether or not to add more to the top, but I decided not to. Here's how the candle holder looks with all 4 sides completely covered. Like I mentioned, I absolutely loved how this turned out, and it holds about 74 little skulls all over this little candle holder. I was definitely questioning my life choices at this point. However, I needed to finish this up, and I just needed to give it a paint job using my Rust-Oleum flat spray paint in the color black. And this is how my candle holder turned out. Like I mentioned, I absolutely love it, and it really fits in with my home decor. I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below, and which direction would you have taken those little skulls? Would you line them up like I did, or would you have them all messy all over the sides so it's more like an abstract look? Let me know down in the comment section below. For our next DIY, I have this flower vase or vase, I don't really know how to say it, in my collection that I painted years ago in a different DIY. I believe I painted it using a baking soda paint mixture to give it a nice bumpy texture. However, I took some sandpaper and sanded it down so it is nice and smooth. And the other paint that you see that is on the vase still just made it more of a smooth texture. Now I am going in once again with those miniature skulls, and I am going to hot glue each one individually all around this vase. To attach my skulls, I am using my Gorilla Hot Glue stick. You can always use super glue or E6000. However, when I was putting these on, I was wiggling them to make sure that they didn't fall off. Once again, this is a vase, so it's not going to be bumped around. It's mostly for display, so it does hold up for my projects. Now, I do want to mention that this one took quite some time, at least a couple of hours to make, because not only am I hot gluing the skulls onto the vase, I'm also making other skulls and popping them out and waiting for them to dry back and forth. But it does turn out really nicely once again. Here's how the first row looks. Now, at this point of my life, I was wondering, why am I doing this? Because I want to fill the whole entire vase. And once I started the second row, I was like, well, I'm in this, so I need to stick it out. And I continue adding all of the skulls on to this vase. However, this really did turn out super cute, and it looks like a matching pair with my candle holder as well. Here is how the vase looks after the second row was completed, and I started to have a small glimmer of hope, and I just continue adding the skulls on. Here's how it looks after it was completely filled, and I absolutely love it. Now, looking at it now, it kind of looks like a skull Christmas tree, but I am going to just use it as a regular vase. Now, to cover this, I am going to take it outside and cover it with my Rust-Oleum spray paint in the flat black and give it a couple of coats. And after it was completely dried, here is how my little skull vase or vase turned out. I love it. Like I mentioned about 300 times already, this is how it turned out, and it does match my skull tea light candle holder really nicely. I did add some flowers in it just to give it a pop of color. And you can really just display this all year long if you like creepy, spooky things in your house like we do, or wait for the Halloween season to pull this out. And this would be super cute in your home collection. I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below. For our next DIY, I wanted to make a coaster set. So I have some of these foam circles left over from my previous project that I use a Dollar Tree foam board. I just made a circle and then cut them out. Next, I have some Dollar Tree square fat quarters. And I purchased this a couple years ago in their plus section for $5. I thought this was really reasonable for $5 because you get all different types of patterns and a decent size of fat quarters from this fabric. And there's so many projects that you can make with them, so you really get your money's worth. Here is just a quick look of all of the different patterns that come in this package. Now, I purchased this a couple years ago, so I'm not really sure if they have the same pattern fabric at Dollar Tree, but they always carry some sort of fabric at Dollar Tree that you can still use for this DIY as well. Next, after I picked the fabric that I wanted to use, I'm just cutting out the squares from it using a pair of scissors so that I can cover my little circle foam board pieces. Once I had all of my little squares cut out, I then needed to attach them with some Mod Podge. Now I'm using the satin finish Mod Podge, and I'm going to add a generous amount onto the foam board itself, and then I'm going to place that back onto my fabric piece, push down, and then add another layer on top. Not only will this help secure the fabric onto the foam board, it also makes it water resistant for my drink. Now I continue adding Mod Podge all over my coaster until I get a nice even thick layer on top of the fabric, and then I will continue the same process for all 4 coasters. I add some on the foam board and then I flip it over and add more right on top of the fabric. Once it had time to completely dry, it will be nice and stiff for you to cut off the edges and wrap it around your coaster. Now if you have a regular coaster size, this is pretty much optional. You can cut off the fabric completely or do as what I'm doing, which is just adding a little bead of hot glue and pulling the edges of the fabric over my foam board, so that way you don't see the foam board on the edges of your homemade coaster like I do. After everything was completely adhered down, I did flip them over and needed to cover that little center spot that we haven't covered yet, and I have some of this other fabric that I received from Temu. Now as you see here, I am just tracing out my coaster but then sketching in a smaller circle in the center of it so that I have a reasonable size circle to place onto my coaster. I really wanted these coasters to be reversible, so that is why we're decorating both sides of my coasters. I am attaching that little circle onto the coaster using my Gorilla glue stick and my hot glue gun, and I'm pressing down firmly. Now this fabric that I'm using is kind of water resistant. I tested it and it does bead off, so that if I do add a cold drink it will be fine. After I have the circle on, I did do the same for the other 3 coasters, and here's how it looks. I didn't have enough of the same pattern fabric for each side, so I just added a different fabric for the other 2. Now for the other side, this is where our little skulls come in, and I wanted to place them on this side of the fabric and lay them out into a circle. So after I have all of my skulls on like this, I know exactly where to glue them down, so I'm just going to take this time and glue on every single one of those skulls onto my coaster. As I am gluing down, if you are are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, I would love for you to be part of our virtual art family here, where we create lots of fun DIYs throughout the year. Now that my skulls are glued down, this is how my coaster looks, and I will continue doing the same thing for each one of my coasters. Now at this time I was running a little late, so I only got 2 coasters done, but this is how they look. Now I still wanted them to have a pop of color, so I did take them out and spray painted them as well. Now when doing so, if you take the same route as I did, I suggest highly to seal off your skulls as well. But this is how they turned out. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to use them here in the next couple of days when they're completely cured and dry. Now I did place a cup on them and they do even out just fine with the skulls being on it if you are worried for that. But I just loved how this DIY turned out. Alright friends, that completes another June-O-Ween video for you. I had a blast making each and every one of these DIYs, even though it took half of my lifetime to glue on all of those little skulls. Nonetheless, I really loved how each one of these DIYs turned out. They were really fun to do. Now, if you are wanting to do the same DIYs, like I mentioned earlier, you can find these silicone molds on Etsy or even Amazon if you are looking for the same type of silicone mold that I use for these DIYs. Now, I would love to know which one was your favorite DIY out of today's DIYs down in the comment section below. Once again, don't forget to mention what kind of direction would you have taken the skulls on each one of my projects. And while you are down there, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. It really does help out my channel. Remember friends, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so YouTube can always notify you when I upload a new video. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to click on that thumbs up button and share it to at least one friend. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and as always, I will see you in the next one.